and welcome to my next YouTube video. In this video, I'm going to be giving y'all a few pointers and things that I think about when I'm painting portraits. So without further ado, let's get started. One of the first things that I do when it comes to doing portraits, whether it's just a study or if I'm doing it for a commission or for a finished piece, I am always going to be looking for really good reference photos. And I take a minute to just look at the reference photo and just take everything all in, just so that I can really understand what's happening with the face and the head and the form. One of my main suggestions when it comes to sketching, always work with a brush that you can control the opacity. I say this a lot when it comes to doing work, whether you're painting or drawing. This really helps you control your line weight, but then also it helps you just slowly build the form rather than going straight in and doing a hard line. And if you're working traditionally, my suggestion would be to use a harder pencil rather than a softer pencil, because pencils tend to come out darker with very little pressure, whereas a harder pencil, you can push kind of hard and still get a light looking line, and it's just a lot easier to control how your lines come out. If your reference is with an older subject, keep in mind the number of lines that you place on the face. More lines equals an older face, less lines equals a younger face. Line variation is something that can take your sketches to the next level and make them look a little bit more professional. Line variation is the thickening and thinning of lines based off of form and shadow. So you might thicken a line a little bit to show that something is in front of something else, like the nose being in front of the rest of the face, or an ear overlapping in a 3/4 view. If there's a lot of hair going on, whether it's facial hair or just big hair in general, it's very important for you to break down the hair into shapes. Doing this will allow it to be a little bit less overwhelming and allow you to just see exactly what's going on, and then you can add flourishes and individual hairs later as you are building more with light and shadow and everything like that. So if you want to go for a more realistic look, I would suggest changing the color of your original sketch. This just allows their sketch to blend in a little bit more to the painting and act more as an accent rather than line work to your painting, if that makes sense. You want to start with adding your base colors first and then slowly building with your undertones. Now, when you start adding your undertones, you want to start first with your general facial color zones. And what I mean by that is the face tends to be broken down into color zones that it just applies to a lot of people. Some of the facial zone colors have to do with blood flow, has to do with where facial hair tends to grow, and because of that, we use those color zones in order to mimic what's happening in real life. So the forehead area, or the top part of your head, tends to be a little bit more yellow when it comes to the facial zone. Then you have red for the middle of your face, and the bottom of your face tends to be more blue or cool tones. Now that doesn't mean that you need to slap on yellow, red, and blue on the face. What you should do is, with a lower opacity, kind of do a wash with those colors in those areas, or lean your colors or hues that you're using to shift towards those facial zone colors. To me, undertones are one of the most important things that you can do when you're painting, because it just really brings life to your artwork. I like to add other colors, not just red, yellow, and blue. I will add some maybe purple hues, some greens, just in different areas to show either lymphatic drainage or where the veins are really close to the face, or just to add a little bit extra. It doesn't hurt to push your undertones and push your colors. A lot of the times that actually just makes things more visually interesting, because we don't always just want to make things look as it is in real life. We want to make things look like real life plus more. A little magic, if you will. When it comes to painting darker skin, reflected light is your best friend. That is where you're going to see all of the light that's bouncing off of the skin, because darker skins tend to bounce back light more than absorbing the light. That's not to say that you don't use undertones when painting dark skin. You still need to do that. What I am saying is sculpting comes more from reflected light than it does from the undertones. Whereas when you're painting lighter skin, it's easier to sculpt with the undertones and shadows. Feel me? Get what I'm saying? Yeah, try it out. Also, it's never too late to change your drawing. If at any point, even if you're in the rendering stage, you notice or feel that something is off about your drawing, listen to that feeling, because that is gonna haunt you if you do not follow through and figure out what's wrong. So don't be ashamed of doing that. You can change it at any point. It's your work, so you have to be happy with it at the end of the day. When it comes to painting facial hair, I always suggest to add a little bit of a wash underneath where the facial hair is going to go. So that includes eyebrows, mustaches, and beards. Whenever there is going to be hair in that area, you definitely want to use a cool tone. I usually use like a cool blue or cool purple gray kind of color, and I'll just do a very light wash underneath. And that's because when you start adding in the hairs and the shapes and all of that, if there's any spacing in between those, the hair underneath the 5 o'clock shadow will still show through, and it looks fuller rather than doing it just on the skin color. That's not really how our lighting works and the skin works, so it just looks a little strange if you don't have that color underneath. The last thing I do is I add a final pass of details and then a lighting pass over all of the portraits. And that's the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching if you made it to the end. I really hope you found these tips helpful. If you have any more tips that you want to hear or learn about, go ahead and drop a comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share to all of your other art friends. Thanks again for watching. Bye!